Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining me today for this webinar from Text Help. My name's Alison. I'm on the education team here at Text Help. You'll see my email address there on the screen. If you've got any questions at all following today's webinar, please don't be afraid to email me and I will get back to you, either myself or one of my colleagues as soon as we can. For now, if you have any questions throughout the duration of the webinar, you can just pop those into the question panel that you'll see there on your GoToWebinar screen, and I'll answer those if I can, either during the webinar or again, I'll get in touch with you afterwards. As you'll probably be aware, if you have joined us on one of these webinars before, you will also get a recording of the webinar within 24 hours. So please feel free to pass that on. That can be shared out to colleagues who you think may find it useful or for your own reference. As you'll hopefully already be aware, with your subscription to Read&Write, you have access across every device. So Read&Write works as a toolbar, and the toolbar is available for Windows, Mac, iPad, Android, and Google Chrome. Today, we're going to use predominantly the Windows toolbar, but don't be put off if you use one of the other platforms. It'll still be relevant to you. So today's webinar then is all about helping your struggling readers by using Read&Write. And helping struggling readers has always been at the forefront of what we aim to do here at Text Help. So we'll look at how the various support tools within Read&Write work and how they can be adapted to suit the individual reader to help them build their fluency, their reading speed, and their comprehension. Among other things, we'll look at how text-to-speech can help students access grade level content, how the screenshot reader can make any inaccessible text accessible, and how the dictionaries can help to aid comprehension. A big dilemma, a big question for many teachers is how to level the playing field for the diversity of learners within their classroom. How do we ensure that they have all the tools that they need at their disposal? Well, this is where we can help. What we offer falls under the universal design for learning. We want to help all students achieve their potential by designing lessons that are flexible, can reach everyone, and be customised. So hopefully today I'll show you a little bit of how Read&Write can help to do this for both you as teachers and for your struggling readers. So we're just going to move straight away into our demo for today. So I've got a Word document open in front of me, and my Read&Write toolbar is docked at the top of the screen here. You can see this little tab which allows me to show it and hide it as I need it. So I'm just going to click on that now and the toolbar will appear. Now, as I've already said, text-to-speech is the core function behind Read&Write, and it is a tool that will help your struggling readers enormously. And it's simply accessed by clicking on the play icon.
The S is made up of one big solid rock, but it's really made up of a number of parts, some of them constantly.
So using the play icon, a student can have any text reread as often as they need. And the dual highlighting colours that you saw there allows the student to track and process the text as it's being read. However, if a student needs to have more control over what is being read, or if they're perhaps struggling to keep up with the text, we can change the settings to give them that control that they need over the speed, the voice, the colours, etc. So if we go over here to the top right hand corner, you'll see the settings icon. We'll just click into it. There are some quick quick settings here. And the one that may be useful for your struggling readers is this one that's entitled Continuous Reading. You can see I have that toggled on at the moment. That basically means that it will just keep reading until I hit the stop button. However, you can switch that off, which will mean that it just does a sentence at a time. So for some readers, that may be what they want and what they need. Then if we click down here where it says Show More Settings, this has taken us into the full batch of read and write settings. And we're going to go down here to the speech section. So in here we have access to the full speech settings. So for example, if the student doesn't like that particular voice, they can change it. Now you can see in terms of UK English, I have 2. There are more available to be downloaded from our Essentials site if you're using Windows. If you're using Google, there'll already be quite a range of voices available to you there. However, at the moment, I just have these 2, so I'll just change it to UK Emily. You can see that we can speed the voice up or slow it down. I have it set at 50, which is pretty much normal speaking speed. However, your struggling readers might want to slow that down a little bit, so we can just adjust it by sliding along there. We can also insert a word pause, which again allows that little bit longer for a student to process the word, and we can change the pitch of the voice. And once you've changed these settings, you can test it and adjust it again if needs be by using this button. So the student might decide that the word pause is actually a little off-putting and take that out again and test again. And again, the student can work from here whether they want to maybe slow it down a little more or speed it up again, whatever works for them. If we scroll down to the bottom of this screen, we'll also see here the section on speech highlighting. So as I mentioned earlier, the dual highlighting really helps a reader to track and to process and to retain the words that they're reading. However, some students will prefer some colours, others will find certain colours to be grating or perhaps to make it more difficult for them to read. So just to make you aware that we have a number of different options here in terms of highlighting. So for some students, this might work better, it might help them retain the words better. It very much just depends on the student and perhaps any visual issues that they may have. So once I close down the settings menu, those settings will be saved, and if I hit play now,
is made up of one big solid block, but it's really made up of a number of parts.
You can
Some of them constantly.
You can see that the changes there have been applied. So here, literacy is improved by enabling students to listen to any text. So this allows students who perhaps might otherwise struggle to access content that is at their grade level or perhaps even above their grade level because they can listen. This in turn then boosts their confidence, their endurance, and their completion. If I move on to the next feature, as you can see here, I have a drawing in this text, a diagram. And the text within that diagram is locked. I can't access it. If I hit the play button, it won't be able to read it. However, we've built an extra little tool into Read and Write to get around this problem. So if we're thinking of subjects that include a lot of diagrams, perhaps geography, technology, it's really important that the text that might be locked inside drawings or diagrams is made accessible to students who need it. So this tool up here is called Screenshot Reader. And if I click on that now, you'll see that my icon changes. So I've now got a little cross as an icon. And what I'm going to use that for is to simply draw a box around the text that I want to have read aloud. So Read and Write has analysed the text and has read it aloud. And you can see here that the play icon stays beside it, so the student can have that read as many times as they need or they want. We're aiming here really to help students feel more independent so that they don't have to keep asking for help, which means sometimes they may not ask for help and they just get stuck. This allows them to access the text in their own time as many times as they need, in whatever way they need. So the next function I'm going to show you now is the scanning function. Now, some of you may be familiar with the scanning function, particularly in relation to exam papers. But I'm going to show you today that it can also be really useful for a struggling reader, for a student who perhaps has homework or an assignment that involves getting a lot of information from a text or from an inaccessible PDF file, and there's simply too much text for them, and they're struggling with that. Using the scanner, they can scan the text, make it accessible so that Read&Write can read it aloud for them. So I'll show you how this works now. So if I click on the scan icon, so you can see here that there are two different ways which we can get our source material. So either it can be scanned in using a device, a flatbed scanner perhaps, or it can be a file that the student already has or that you as a teacher have. So let's say you have a PDF that is completely locked, the student can't access it with the tools of Read&Write. You would simply go here, select the file. I'm going to select this one, copy of Matilda. Now it's asking how many pages. Because we don't have all day, I will just do a couple of pages instead of the whole document. And then you can either make it into a PDF. Now that's an accessible PDF, so that's one that our tools with our PDF reader will work with, or you can change it into a Word document. Today I'll change it to a Word document. So I simply fill in the details there and click scan. It's going to want me to save it, so I'll just save it to my desktop. Again, the OCR scanning. And here we have our Word document. Now you can see that this is the book Matilda scanned into a Word document, which now the student can use the different tools from Read&Write. They can manipulate it perhaps if they need to. They can change the text around, whatever it is that they need to allow them to access this content more easily. Perhaps they want to add notes, whatever it might be. But now that it's in a Word document, these features are all available to them. The next tool that I'd like to take a look at with you is the screen masking tool, which is this one here. Now, if we're thinking about reasons for why a student may be struggling with their reading, one of the main reasons is that they may have some kind of a visual difficulty or stress. Thinking maybe of things like Mears-Erlin syndrome, students perhaps who struggle with dyslexia. These are all the kind of readers that can be helped using the screen masking function. Essentially what this screen masking function does is it adds a coloured overlay to the screen or to the text, allowing a student to focus more easily. So if I simply click on screen masking now, so you can see, hopefully you can see on the screen there that my screen masking setting currently is to highlight in a different colour the line that I'm typing on at the moment. Okay. However, what I'm going to show you as we click into settings is that there are a number of different ways in which we can use screen masking. So we just use this little box that has popped up to get into the settings. And you can see here that I have 5 options, 5 different types of screen masking. So we have tint the whole screen. If I click on that now, you'll see that my screen has now changed colour. You can underline the line that you're typing on. We can tint the typing line, which is the one that I just showed you. We can change the page. So that means just the actual body of the document and not menus, etc. Or we can underline the cursor, which you can hopefully see as I move my cursor up and down now. So those are the different options. I'm going to stick with change page color. So my setting is a sort of a pale blue at the moment, but there are lots of different colors to choose from. So again, depending on the student, depending on what their need is, this can be adjusted accordingly. So you'll see there are a number of standard colors available there. I can change it to a pink color, as you'll see up here. However, there is also an advanced option, and this is really for students who have a specific prescription in terms of what they need to help them with a particular visual difficulty. An optometrist can give something called an RGB number, which some of you may well be aware of, red, green and blue. And simply you can type the numbers of the prescription in here, and Read and Write will find the colour that is best suited to that student. Okay, so that option is also there. So by choosing the colour that the student can work best in, we simply are helping them to focus and reducing any stress or fatigue that they may find. We might find that even students who don't have a specific visual difficulty, but perhaps struggle with tiredness, struggle to focus for whatever reason, will find that to be a really useful little tool. So I'm just going to have a quick pause to make sure I don't have any questions that I need to answer. Okay, at the moment we're all good. So I'm just going to move on now to the dictionaries. We have 2 dictionaries, a word dictionary and a picture dictionary, and these are here to help students increase their vocabulary and support their comprehension. The word dictionary will help students to recognise and understand new or unfamiliar words and put them into context. So perhaps if the student has started a new subject, a new topic, or maybe thinking of an EAL student, there may be struggles there in processing words. And the dictionary is there to support that. So if I select the word rock and click on dictionary, you'll see that I have a few definitions here. And again, these definitions can be read aloud.
Material that makes up the Earth's crust.
Okay. This is a basic dictionary. For students who wouldn't be too overwhelmed, there is also an advanced option. If we click on that, we now have even more definitions there and more examples of how the word can be used. So that's available for students who need it, but many will just will have enough information from the basic dictionary there. There's also a sort of one click into a web dictionary, which some may find to be helpful as well. However, some students may prefer to just use the picture dictionary. Pictures are so universal, so this visual representation of words is just so useful, and we find students using it for any number of reasons. If I click now on picture dictionary, you'll see that we have got 2 images, and the student from the context will know that this top one is the correct image. The student can actually also insert the image into the document if they find that helpful, or you as a student or you as a teacher may be able to do that for them, just to sort of reinforce that learning. Can simply be deleted like that. So at all times, as you can see, we're just trying to encourage personalised learning. We're trying to encourage independence in students, and we're just levelling that playing field to allow those who are struggling with their reading to study at pace with their peers. The final feature that I'm going to show you today for your struggling readers is this one, which is called Audio Maker. Now, many people find, and I would include myself in this, that they can learn and process and absorb information more easily by listening, especially when perhaps you're tired from a lot of studying, perhaps thinking around exam time. There's only so much of the written word that many people can take in. So, Audio Maker simply allows us to take a chunk of text. I'm just going to take a small chunk because, again, we don't need to take the time to do a large chunk, but you could take a big document or chapters of books, whatever it might be, perhaps a student's own revision notes, highlight it, click on Audio Maker, and create an MP3. So you'll see this has created an MP3 file in my computer, which I can then transfer to a phone, to another type of device. So the student has access to this even when they're away from their computer and away from their desk. They could be listening to it on the way home from school or on the way to an exam, for example. So if I click on it and we listen to it now.
And the top of the mantle have about 20 tectonic plates.
So you can hear there that the voice settings, etc., are the same as the ones we set up previously. If a student needs to change those, again, they would just go back into settings as I showed you earlier. So we're just providing another way for the student to access text at a time when perhaps they are struggling to absorb or struggling to get through a large amount of reading. So, to just sum up then, anyone who finds reading to be difficult or struggles to process text can be classed as a struggling reader, and this may be due to any number of things, including, for example, EAL, dyslexia, or those with a visual impairment. Text-to-speech will be invaluable to these learners, in particular the options that we looked at around the speed of the speech and the voice. And using these tools will also be a much more effective use of a student's time. When working on an assignment, perhaps, that requires a lot of reading. So I hope that the tools that I've shown you today will be useful in helping you help your students to track and process their text, in helping them to find context independently, and in building and increasing their vocabulary. And all of this in turn should lead to improved confidence, endurance, and completion among your struggling readers. I really hope that that's been of use to you today. Again, my email address is at the bottom of the screen. If you would like to get in touch with me afterwards, please do. Or if you would like, I'll stay here for a few moments. If you want to pop a question into the question panel in GoToWebinar, you're more than welcome to do that. Thank you so much for your time today, and I'll hopefully see you on another webinar again soon. Thank you.